As a reminder, please note that board meetings are being recorded for the convenience of those unable to attend this video conference. A recording and closed captioning will be posted to the NYCBERS YouTube channel following the meeting. Samantha, please call roll.
Adriana Alicia. Deborah Altman.
Present.
Green Apollon.
Present.
Shirley Oban.
Present.
Aaron Bogad. Joseph Borelli.
Present.
Emil Casaretti.
Present.
Jonathan Collins. Marjorie Dienstag.
Present.
Amy Fair. Gregory Faulkner.
Present.
Anita Garcia. Anthony Giordano.
Present.
Dr. Angela Green.
Present.
Naveed Hassan. Alice Hull.
Present.
Rima Izquierdo.
Present online.
Yadira Jimenez. Taraji Hannah Jones. Donald Nesbitt.
Present.
Sharon Odwin. Alan Ong. Renita Parsons.
Present.
Mahisha Sapp.
Present.
Frank Cirabella.
Present.
Amy Slattery.
John Dorsett, designee for controller, Mark Levine, present in Amy's absence. Rima is online.
Yeah.
Did she get that?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry, must have been sleeping.
Excuse me, Sandy Omer Hassan and Edward Lean OMB online too.
Thank you, Omer.
No
Welcome.
problem.
We have quorum.
Thank you, Sir Sam. Karen, you're missing a page in this thing. Okay, you gave me an incomplete script.
It should be, it's double sided.
No, Tony.
It's not double sided.
No.
That's
okay.
Don't tangle.
Samantha, do we have quorum?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I stopped.
Noting the minutes of the meeting of the Board of Retirement held on April 21st, 2022. The first item on the agenda is calendar item 1, noting the minutes. May I have a motion to consider? So moved. Tony Giannata, second. Donald Nesbitt. Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes for April 21st, 2026, please respond in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. The next item on the afternoon's agenda is an update from Executive Director Sandy Rich. Sandy?
Thank you, Corinne. Big night tonight, budget. We will be presenting, Daniel will be presenting the fiscal 2027 budget proposal with an expectation that we will vote on it in June, our next meeting. We continue our efforts to track staffing requirements against our activity data, productivity increases, system improvements, and using our staffing model. We continue to improve and support a 40% increase in headcount required. We still believe that's a requirement. Our ability to onboard new staff closes 6/18, and we currently have 6 open headcount, down from 14 at the last meeting. We are limited in terms of onboarding because the system closes between June 18th and July 1st. So we don't expect to fill those headcount for another 90 days. Daniel will be describing a budget increase that requests a modest ask compared to our expected needs and positions NYCBERS to come back to the board as we fill our allocations and we continue to track our staffing needs through our model. Most of the information will be coming from Daniel later in the meeting. I'd like to highlight a couple of opportunities for trustee education. We will be represented at NYCBERS National Accredited Fiduciary Education Program, May 16th to 17th, and their annual conference and exposition, May 17th to 20th. I want to thank the trustees who are attending that. There is a Fiduciary Investors Symposium in Boston, June 1st to 3rd. I recommend FIS as one of the premier investment academic research organizations. There's a Coriat Global Summit invitation only event, July 15 through 17, which I also recommend. It's a smaller conference. It's an opportunity for trustees to meet and speak with trustees across the nation in a more closer group. And then finally, NYCBERS Public Pension Funding Forum is August 17th through 19th, which is an excellent venue for understanding actuarial questions about public pension plans.
When?
That is August 17th to 19th. That's in Chicago. On that subject, I'd like to offer you a little bit of an opinion. But I would like to recommend that trustees pay special attention to recent and future notifications from the New York City Office of the Actuary and press accounts of the New York City budget, which was filed yesterday. There are significant legislative proposals that will impact New York City retirement system that Matt Diskevich's office is providing analysis for, including a significant potential reset proposal that could be coming in the future that would impact the flow of contributions to the systems. You'll be receiving copies of all such analysis notifications prepared for the state legislators as matter of course. He will be discussing one tonight, which is partial implementation of some of this work. A review of the New York City budget proposed by Mayor Mamdani indicates a reduction in contributions to the systems to support balancing the fiscal budgets proposed for the next 4 fiscal years by a restructuring of the 2010 unfunded actuarial liability amortization schedule. You'll get a lot more about this from Mark. Recall that NYCBERS currently is 100% funded. It'll be interesting to watch how our funded position will be impacted as new legislation flows through Albany. We recently saw a COLA proposal, increasing the COLA to 5% on the first $18,000 of retirement benefits, up from 3%. That's an example of some of the things that are being proposed in Albany. I will add that you should not overreact to present social media hysteria over possible changes in the contribution flows from New York City to the retirement systems. They've already begun. I've seen even from actuaries I know for a decade, assuming wrong things about it. BERS remains one of the best funded municipal retirement systems in the country, and you can rely on that in the future based on the requirements of the New York City Independent Actuary's Office and contribution laws of New York State. Anyway, I think it's important to watch this. And in particular, the press doesn't seem to understand these things. Trust what Mark tells you. Anyway, that's it for me. All right.
Thank you, Sandy. The next item on this afternoon's agenda are calendar items 2 to 17, the ordinary business of BERS. May I have a motion to consider?
Motion, Camille.
Camille, motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Collins, just for a record, Dr. Collins has arrived. Please make sure we have him. Thank you, doctor. Samantha, please tell us about the ordinary business of BERS.
These are the retirements, refunds, and death benefits processed since the last time the board met.
Thank you, Samantha. We will now vote on these items. All in favor of approving calendar items 2 through 17, please respond in favor. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is calendar item 18, authorization of rebalancing of funds of the New York City Board of Education Retirement System. May I have a motion to consider?
So moved.
Donald, may I have a second?
Second.
Tony Giordano. New York City Actuary, Mark
Diskevich's.
is here to discuss this agenda item.
Yeah, good afternoon. So this item is a request for the board to approve the annual rebalancing of certain BERS funds, internal funds. By statute, the Office of the Actuary is required to perform this rebalancing calculation every year. The rebalancing is on paper only. There is no physical selling or buying of assets. These are internal accounts that get out of balance for a variety of reasons, including actuarial gains and losses related to the annuitization of account balances and what account investment income is allocated to. The end result is the variable fund within the qualified pension plan was underfunded by about $2 million, which requires a transfer from the contingent reserve fund. Likewise, the TDA was overfunded by about $21 million, which also requires a transfer to the contingent reserve fund. Proposed resolution was in my letter that performs these transfers. Ask the board consider and adopt that. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Mara?
Here's the TDA. What monies was that you mentioned with the teachers?
It was the reserve balances and the deferred, the TDA, the deferred annuity accounts that members contribute into.
And they,
It's just out of balance because the assets and the liabilities for both accounts have to be 100% funded. And the TDA, it was overfunded by 21 million. So money comes out of the TDA into the contingent reserve fund. Next year, if it's underfunded, money comes back in from the contingent. But by statute, they have to be at 100% every year.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Merrick. We will now vote on this item. All in favor of approving calendar item 18, please respond in favor. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is calendar item 19, authorization to the controller of the city of New York to invest, sell, and exchange the funds of the retirement system. May I have a motion to consider?
Motion, Camille.
Thank you, Camille. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mahisha. Thank you. Salil, please tell us about this item.
Hi, hello. This resolution is the quarterly authorization of the comptroller of the city of New York to invest the funds of NYCBERS and implement the decisions of the Board of Trustees. Again, it's a quarterly authorization process, and this will extend through September of 2026, and we recommend approval of this resolution.
Are there any questions?
You're gonna break that down a little bit? That's the question.
For me?
No, well, can you break that down a little bit, Salil? Like, what does that actually?
What happens if we don't approve?
Well, all of the, from quarter to quarter, any of the decisions that get made at the executive committee, the comptroller would not be authorized to implement those decisions. So if you decide at the June, not the June, but this would implement the third quarter. So if you decide to invest in a private market fund manager, for example, that would be a decision that you would be making at the executive committee, but then you'd have a resolution and it'd be a little bit toothless because the comptroller would not be actually authorized. You haven't given the comptroller the authorization to implement and execute that specific decision from the quarterly executive committee.
So there's no ability to implement without the comptroller being at the focal point of the implementation?
The sort of any ongoing sort of existing sort of like a annual sort of authorization, those would still not be impacted, but these are just simply within the quarter itself transactions.
Bottom line is,
Please, Dr.
bottom
Thomas,
line is,
this is a common thing that there have been times when we didn't have such a great relationship where there was much more of a conversation. We have a new controller in town and we're all playing nice. And this is something we do every quarter for the regular business of the.
Dr. Brown, if we don't approve this, none of our investments get implemented.
Yes, but
That's the
it's like
bottom
having
line.
a school district without a superintendent.
Yeah,
That's the bottom line, yes.
but I have a question. So in your comments, you mentioned that the controller is obligated to carry out the direction of the board. Did I hear that wrong? Just go
Well,
back to your first sentence. You said,
Yes.
yes. So there have been instances in the past where the controller was reluctant to carry out the wishes of the board. Would the board have an option to pursue some action if the controller, if in our authorization, we are saying, we vote an investment, we've done the research, we're asking the controller's office to carry forward on that investment, and we get resistance from the controller, do we have an option here?
I don't
Based
think
on this
is-
resolution.
This is just an
We can answer that.
authorization for them to proceed.
That answered my question.
So,
If they choose-
yes, so Leo, just so Greg is pressing a historic sore spot. Yeah, I know.
Let me just say, because it always seemed to happen when there were investments that involved BIPOC investments.
Yes.
And those investments received an extra degree of scrutiny
Right.
and oftentimes were not pursued. And I didn't know this clause was in there when this was going on, that it is not, it doesn't sound like there's a discretion that the controller's office would have. It seems to suggest that if the board votes to carry forward with a particular investment, that that investment needs to be implemented by the controller. And I just want to have some clarification. Was that just language or does that really mean something?
It,
Right,
it
so
does,
what-
it doesn't require.
Soon it won't
the
happen because I think we have
comptroller-
a great controller. But
Control, right.
there have been instances, and I think it's valuable for the board
To know.
to know it.
Authority.
The research I did on this, John, maybe you could say yay or nay on this. The research I did on this was that the board, if we were ever to push the nuclear button and say no, the board has 60 days to make its own rules. And within the context of those 60 days, we could essentially hire an outsourced CIO, some other kind of option, but we'd have 60 days for that to hit the.
So can I add context to this and what you're talking about? So
It's a nuclear option.
Whoa, we all can't talk at the same time. Daniel, please, and then the next person can go. Go ahead, Daniel.
The distinction the previous controller made was even if BERS carried out investment decision, the controller could do it, but they wouldn't allow BERS to use a legal counsel. They said that was not within that purview. So without legal, we couldn't go forward. So that was the
That doesn't make sense.
difference that.
That was,
they said.
that's a detail. That's the
Detail.
detail.
So we'd have to hire our own counsel
Fortunately, it's not an issue
to
right now.
approve the investment.
Fortunately, it's not an issue.
Yeah, I think, I mean, let me just speak as from.
I'm sorry, I didn't finish. Can you say the last sentence?
So the distinction the controller made was, right? And this authority was granted here by the board. They're our investment advisor, right?
Mhm.
But the legal team within BAM is not pursuant to that. It's a distinction. So they wouldn't allow us to use their legal counsel to review the investment contracts. To do so, we need to hire our own legal review. And for that to happen, BERS needs approval from the law department.
Could we amend this resolution to include a requirement that if the board passes an investment, that the controller would have to do everything that is required to execute that investment, including hire an attorney?
They have the attorneys, it's
No, I
separate.
mean, but they wouldn't allow us
Allow
to
us to
use the attorneys. Do we have an option to amend this resolution to include that requirement?
Good question.
I mean, Sandy, if I may, I believe this resolution or the structure of this was created by the law department. I don't believe that this was written by, with all due respect, I
It was
don't
written
believe
by-
it was written by,
Hold on.
I don't believe it was written by the council of BERS. I also don't think it was written by the council of controls. I believe the law department as the counsel to the board wrote this in considering all of those things at the time. Now, that's not to say it shouldn't be revisited, but I would think if it's gonna be revisited, the crafters of this that know the ins and outs of the law would be the best folks to incorporate any comments or any changes that the board wants to make, because I don't know if structurally by changing any of those, we're changing, or we're doing something that's counter to what the law says. I don't know, so I'm not a lawyer. So, yeah.
So again, that doesn't answer my question. The
Well,
question,
I believe I can answer your question, and I'm gonna ask Darren to chime in.
Yeah.
because
I didn't realize
Darren's
this was on,
online.
sorry.
I believe if you read a resolution, when the executive committee authorizes an investment, that resolution empowers the controller to close that transaction. This quarterly, I believe, was originally designed to cover all the other incremental things that the controller is obligated to do, such as accept contributions from the city, move cash around to fund or rebalance, make payments on retirements for distribution through payroll. So, this quarterly approval,
All inclusive.
yeah, it's all inclusive, but every resolution that the executive committee or this board approves, when I sign it, empowers the controller to execute that particular transaction. Darren, if you want to jump in and have a comment.
Hold on, let's look at that.
And proxy votes too for that quarter.
Yeah, all that, the ancillary stuff. He doesn't want to comment.
There he is, he's coming on.
Oh, here you are.
Hi, sorry, I was listening, the controller author, what's the specific question about amending the resolution?
the question is, in the language of the resolution, it mentions that the controller is required to carry out the wishes of the board, which hasn't always happened. And the question that seems to be the hangup is around the legal representation. But if the controller is required to carry out the actions of this board, it would seem to me that that office then would be required to use whatever resources they needed to use to carry out the wishes of the board. So I'm trying to get an understanding of that. Look, I don't think it's a problem with this current controller. But I think in the past, when particular investments involving the BIPOC community, there always seemed to be a resistance to those resolutions moving forward. And I'm trying to just understand, was that a requirement, or was that something that we just kind of, because I'm hearing this for the first time, and I'm disappointed because I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, we should not have had this resistance. And it only seemed to happen when it was, BIPOC firms, so.
The point, Darren, I think is, if the way this reads, as I see it, notwithstanding the fact that it is comprehensive and all-inclusive, it begs the question about if this board makes a decision about a firm that they want to invest in, and for some reason, BAM has decided, well, we don't want to do that, that they have the ability, BAM has the ability to say, what this says is that they're required to do that, but if they're leveraging legal as a restriction not to move it forward, does that mean that they're not in compliance with what this ruling says? And or is that a separate ruling that has to be addressed separately? I guess that's the best way I could put it.
I mean, we would have to look into this at law, like the various aspects of this question, and we can certainly get back to you. I mean, I know there have been, I think I recall the situation, I mean, that we're talking about with the controller, which obviously gave rise to the question about amending the resolution, and we can look into that and get back to you. I wouldn't feel comfortable answering it off the top of my head. I think there was also a scenario I know where it wasn't necessarily a denial of the legal counsel. It was that the pool counsel that the controller generally turns to with this one particular investment that the controller ultimately didn't execute in response to BERS' request was that I think they did have it legally reviewed. It just didn't meet the due diligence standards for purposes of investing.
It's a diplomatic way to say that you didn't carry out the board's wishes.
No, I didn't carry or not carry out.
You don't work on the.
I don't work at the controller.
I
have no say. I have no say in that.
You're appointed by, he's appointed.
There are nuances in how it happens. But with respect to the mandate that they always carry out the instructions of BERS, that is something that my office we can look into that, and we can give you a more reasoned kind of take on what is and is not appropriate.
By the way, I want to vote for because I have faith in this, current controller. I'm going to vote for the authorization. I would like to have a condition that the controller come back to us with some clarification on this particular item and advise the board, because we're going to revisit this in 3 months.
So with all respect, if there's a change, just to remind everybody, Darren works for the law department, which is the mayoral agency, not the controller's office.
Got it.
Separate.
Got it.
His principal is appointed by the mayor. We're appointed by the council. Happy to work with them if there's a desire to change it, but since the origin of this is the law department, I think they're in the best position to guide the board on legally what the resolution should say. I think that I've heard what your intention, I've heard what.
The law department, you've been court counsel or BAM?
I believe the court counsel. They wrote the original resolution. I think they're the counsel to the board. The controller's, Office of General Counsel is the controller's internal lawyer. So I just want to make that delineation that if someone's going to write a resolution for the board, it should be the counsel to the board.
Correct.
Because they understand the broader sense of the law.
So Darren, the long and short of this is, if the way it's written and they're required to authorize our vote, then it would also have to go further to say they have to use all necessary means available to get that done, and that they can't block it by saying you can't use our lawyers, or we're not gonna go through the legal standard. And further, you mentioned something which I'm raising as a question and a clarification. You're saying that if we vote on something and then they come back and say, well, we've not done the due diligence, so we're not gonna accept it, that would be counter to what this says, that they must enforce and execute on the vote that we've made, right? Because if that's the case, that they can say we've not done the due diligence, then our vote is worthless.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what honestly, that's probably the question that would have to be researched the most, right? Let's say BERS board says we want to pursue this investment, it goes to the controller, they have their pool attorney firms review it, do their due diligence, right? I don't know the answer, right, presently, the extent to which we can kind of say, all right, you may not be satisfied with the financial analysis, controller, but we still want you to execute this transaction. That's what I need to.
One more clarification, Darren. I don't think that's what I'm saying, right? I don't think so. So that makes sense, right? So for example, we vote on something, it has to go through the legal, meet the legal requirements. That makes sense to me. I think what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, was that a vote was made and it wasn't that it went through the legal due diligence. They just refused to do the legal due diligence. And without the legal due diligence, you could not implement and execute on the investment.
Understood.
They did a due diligence and it wasn't a good investment. It's that they refused to do it. And without the legal due diligence, then it could not be completed. That's the
Got it. So I'm not, yes, we can look into that. The situation that Corinne, you just referenced, it's not coming to mind. So we don't have to talk about it out in the open here, but if maybe you could either email me that specific transaction just so I can pull it up historically and
okay.
kind of
So do you want
to, because that may be helpful for purposes of assessing this, or have maybe Sam shoot it over to me after the meeting, just the specific investment we're talking about, just so I understand what the factual situation was that gave rise to this concern, so I can kind of, gear my research towards that.
First and tier.
Is there a way that what our co-chair has just said could be incorporated as an addendum to the resolution, basically saying that we do a conditional approval based on your getting back to us with advising us on
that piece of it?
On that piece of it? Because one, I think that I don't think this would be a problem going forward with the current administration. But I do think it's important because for future administrations that we have some clarification of that one line. And then, so I would want to have this as a conditional approval based on you coming back to us with language on that. So that when we revisit this in 3 months, that will be part of the decision that can be made 3 months from now.
Yeah, I mean, and all resolutions are kind of conditional in a way, right? The board can always, it's a board resolution, so obviously they come
Not
up.
necessarily.
They come up regularly for renewal, but also, a superseding resolution or.
But I think we also want to communicate to your office that we have a certain interest. Both of you.
So legal.
You're looking at me, I couldn't tell if you're looking at him.
I'm looking at the screen, you're in the way.
Yeah, no, I understand, and I'm happy to look into all of the concerns. I was just saying, it's not like these authorizations are, lock you in for all time. There's always, they come up regularly for renewal, and, there's always modifications that can kind of.
And legally, they can't exceed a year anyway, but.
Yes, yeah, I mean, and, yeah.
So
just
for is when this result was looked at by external auditors, they have commented that it was inadequate. So if we're gonna look at it, because of there weren't requirements in the result delegated what banks have to required to do in detail. That's findings that we've had back at BERS from external auditors, that this was a result that was inadequate. So I just want to give you full color on that as well, from external auditors, not from BERS staff.
So I just want to, just for clarifying purposes, we did discuss, unlike the other systems, BERS has not delegated authority to BAM to act on. its behalf with respect to emerging managers investments. Is that a part of what it is we're talking about? Okay, that's something totally different.
Separate resolution.
Got it. Okay. All right.
I mean, theoretically, without this broader one, that would be a moot point, theoretically.
All right. So there's a connection, but, okay.
It doesn't
Yeah,
speak to that
without-
specifically, that's a separate resolution.
Okay, gotcha. But
We should be bringing that back to the table too, but.
Right. Right.
This authorization, if you all recall, I mean, one of the, it's mostly because the individual, all 5 pension systems don't have the internal infrastructure to, do this type of investing. So it's kind of over the years, it's been centralized within BAM and, they carry out that function on behalf of all 5 funds. That this is the umbrella, or the resolution we're talking about now is that umbrella kind of resolution that, basically says we don't have the internal infrastructure at any of the funds. So we authorize the controller with BAM because of all the resources they have to, perform the investing function that's technically reserved to the funds. So this is kind of like the overarching resolution, but then obviously there are, subcategories of issues and topics that have come up, like the emerging managers and things of that nature. But this is kind of the resolution that, sets the whole thing up and in motion and all.
But Darren, can I just say one thing quickly? I'm gonna do the reverse. So if, just like BAM can't force us to accept a investment, they also should not have the ability to stop us from investing on something that was voted on.
Yep.
That's what this speaks to, right? Because
I
what
understand. That's exactly what I need to
legal
kind of dive
cadence or the
into.
legal due diligence, not to say that we did the due diligence and it didn't work. It was just to not do the due diligence at all and say, without the due diligence, you cannot execute this investment. That's what I believe happened.
Understood. Yeah, and that's what I will look into, and if you can get me that specific situation, that'll be helpful. But that's what I don't know off the top of my head, the extent to which we can
But you
force their hand in certain circumstances. So I want to make sure I understand the law first before I can answer.
We
So,
do
Sam, I have a
strongly
question
need
for Sandy.
pipelines, though. We do
Sir,
need to
based
go
on
back
this
to pipelines.
conversation and our desire to have this as a conditional approval, do you get to add that piece to the resolution?
Well, so I would,
Can I make a recommendation? Since we're doing this every 3 months,
Yeah.
why
It's
don't we
conditional.
make a recommendation that we vote on this as is with the understanding that in 3 months, it will allow Darren enough time to do the research and everything, because we have to vote on it again anyways, and it expires in the 3 months.
I hear you. I would, and ordinarily I'd say yes. But we're facing June and we may have a transition.
What's this, May, June?
yes,
We could have a whole different board. And I think we need to have this on the record.
the schedule for the next Board of Directors meeting is June
June
4th. We can table this to June 4th. Ask Darren to respond to your questions on that day. And, I think Greg's point is significant. Remember that we do have summers off and
I'm sorry, one reason we try to do this 1 month prior to the end of the quarter is because of quorum issues. Sometimes if we don't get the quorum on June 4, we're sliding right into the third quarter already without this in place. So it's usually the insurance policy to do this. We've been doing this for about a year, just doing it that's what we're doing it in May right now, as opposed to June.
I'll add that we have had periods during which there is a gap in that approval and
But what is the
there's
risk?
no,
What's the risk?
there's no resolution police on this. I need to be honest.
So Sandy, I'll just say, any resolution that we pass, regardless of what it is, can be amended at the next meeting in 30 days and whenever the board sees fit. So I'm sure we have resolutions that.
Nobody's gonna pen an adopted resolution after it's been adopted.
Why? We've got a new resolution with new languages.
Not my future.
I'm just saying, there's nothing that prohibits the board from taking an action today and then taking another action next month or another month, even a month, you can do month to month.
Just contemplate, we are,
I don't suggest doing that, but there's nothing that prevents us from doing that.
just contemplate, we are heading into PEP membership trustee volatility, which is undetermined. And generally speaking, we struggle to have summer meetings, so, you know, you might assume that after June 4th, we probably won't meet till September.
Now, let me ask a
That's a
question.
distinct probability.
What is the risk in the event that we table this and don't vote on it through the summer? What is the risk of not having some of this work done that is necessary to run the pension?
I would, well, we're being recorded, so I have to be quoted, but we have had gaps in this authority historically. And to my knowledge, there has been no negative consequences. I would look
There's
at
nothing
you,
that's
John.
timely that's required over.
You've been present on the other side of the table during those periods. Did BAM stop managing our cash position or retirement payments or contributions?
We
or
would
receipts
not
of
see, we would
distributions?
not cease the operations of making sure people get paid their pensions. Like, that's not something that would.
Right.
That would.
So
that
this
would
is like,
Be done.
We couldn't adopt new managers in that time period.
yeah.
Technically.
Well, where it gets a little interesting is more corporate governance issues or or hiring new managers when we're theoretically not a period when we may not be on paper, the investment advice. There's some quirks in there. I would defer to the lawyers on how to handle that. That's way beyond my prerogative, but
I trust the current controller that, we can operate in good faith. I really do. And so I'd be willing to approve it with the condition that, you're hearing this discussion,
Yes,
come back to us and let's, pick it up from there.
yes.
If that would work, because I think it is important and we've gone through the numerous investment that have been we did 4 years of research on this particular company, only to come back and be told that the company did not meet the qualifications.
Well, then you-
Talking about those previous investments.
They didn't even do it, yes.
They
So,
didn't do
so I think,
And one manager we forced has been now credited as a victory for everybody.
Yeah.
And we won't say manager
That's
name,
that's an irrelevant statement.
but I'm saying,
so, I would say we could go forward, but then I think that there's a strong feeling of where the board is at on this.
Yes, understood.
We'd like to get some
Understood.
feedback on that and that we could get that. It would be, I think this could be a lot of progress because we've even contemplated requesting our own attorneys. And it was all based on this and this simple solution might have been there all along.
Right. I mean, we definitely need the pipelines. We've been talking about the pipelines. What I'm hoping the next 4 years will not bring is, as the previous administration, when it was like 98.6 asset managers look like me. And I'm hoping within 4 years, it doesn't move 2%. Like it's such a small number.
But that's not relative to this conversation. That's because this is not the reason why that exists, right? That's two different conversations,
That's not the option.
right?
All right.
So like, I don't disagree with that statement, but I'm saying that that's irrelevant to this conversation about the, what is required by BAM based on the board vote.
We don't argue for companies that make us a lot These companies do well.
Right.
So we're only saying we
I'm
want
just
to
trying
increase
to
the
make sure we're
portfolio.
moving this meeting along in a
Yeah.
way and not,
take it.
Yeah, but
right?
again, but we do need to examine, because there are certain things that do impact the decision making or the lack thereof when it comes time to particular firms.
That's
It's just,
true,
and
but that has
so,
nothing to do with this
okay.
subject
Well,
matter
I
that
guess
we're
I'm
talking about
nervous
right now.
because it's just not. Okay.
It's also, it's a bit of good news because we're
Okay.
not seeing that there was something that might have been there all along
That we didn't.
that we
research.
didn't,
Okay,
we
fine.
didn't realize, and having read it here,
Right.
it jumped out right away.
Right.
And
And I will also say, none of this works in isolation. It is a entire ecosystem of policy and practice, right? So like I said, this right here is part of a bigger ecosystem, but this is not a result of just this.
Right, I didn't say that.
So
Just saying
that's
it's
why I
part
want to make
of-
sure we stay focused on what it is, which I agree with. If there's an opportunity to understand that greater, Darren, to say, here's what it is, here's what it must be and what it can't be, here's the, potential requirement, and if we can make an adjustment to it, then that's great. And then I think it will help on that front, but it's not so much about the pipeline,
Right.
okay?
Right.
Good.
All right. What's that?
Motion to vote?
Yes, ma'am. So,
Thank
can I have a second?
Thank
you.
One question.
Second, Donald? All in favor of moving forward with this vote on this item? All in favor of calendar item 19, please respond in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Can I just note that Amy's here and she came at the end of that conversation?
You came well this time, Amy.
Thank you. On behalf of the audience, thank you.
She was actually waiting for this one to come in. The next item on the agenda is calendar item 20, authorization to commit funds for the provision of system maintenance services for the Board of Education Retirement System. May I have a motion to consider?
Motion, Camille.
Thank you, Camille. May I have a second? Shirley. Shirley, thank you, Shirley. Josiah Rodriguez, Director of Operations, is here to discuss this agenda item. Hi, Josiah.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
How are you?
If this does not get approved, it will negatively impact operations. It will disrupt.
Don't bury the lead. Say it right up front.
So this year, our core business enterprise system is maintained by Vitech. Vitech delivered over 600 service tickets this year. Those tickets, the majority of them were related to compliance, things that were out of our control, legislation changes, audit requirements, which pushed back certain functionality. And now we need additional hours to complete the functionality we had scheduled to roll out MFA, MSS, certain paperless initiatives that we want to do, streamline certain things, reduce manual workload. So if this doesn't get approved, then we're going to delay that, and it's going to create some disruptions for our staff and our members.
I have a few questions. What is the cost of the approval? What's the number?
So I know it's an additional 1,500 hours.
Day, month, week?
It's to complete this fiscal year, so it's a resolution. Is it in the packet, the resolution? $2 million. $2 million.
Or is it here?
It's for a book of hours.
It's to complete this fiscal year. So
we need $2 million more above the budget to complete this fiscal year's work. That's what I'm trying to get at.
this is within budget. It's actually reallocating some OTPS money. But it is reallocating money towards Vitech.
So
It's not a new spend.
it's not a new spend,
Not
but
new money.
it's not new money, but I'm asking the dollars that had been allocated to Vitech, did we complete that and now we need more money?
Yes,
So that would mean that the expense to Vitech has gone up compared to the budget.
correct. Because this year, again, the functionality that we needed to roll out, Chapter 551, transfers, other things, is not just audit. It required more hours than anticipated. We budgeted for
Certain
a
amount.
certain amount of hours.
You're exceeding the budget and now you're asking to go beyond that budget. What was the budget?
It was 8,000 hours, the original budget,
So
8,000.
$2 million, is it 5%, 10%, 20%, 40%? I'm just curious to get because we're gonna be talking about budget.
15%.
What I can say is this, if this is not approved,
Not saying it's not gonna be approved, I'm just trying to get information that's gonna inform what the incremental expense is. And my second question is, we've been working with Vitech for a long time. And my question is, in this continuation of working with Vitech, are they upgrading their system to increase efficiency, effectiveness with AI technology and innovation? Because if we're not, then that begs the question, why not? And are we spending good dollar behind a bad performing system?
so they have a new owner, Majesco, and AI is part of their future offerings. They're actually giving some demos on that. If we want to explore that as an agency, as a board, we can. What I was gonna say that if this doesn't get approved, aside from day-to-day operations, it will cost, we will do this anyway next fiscal year, but
It will
we are-
delay things between now and the end of the fiscal
it
year.
will cost more than six figures because the rate, we're going to piggyback on a previous rate from 2025.
Mhm.
So we will get these hours at a discounted
Got it.
rate.
That, you should have started with that.
Money also. So with money, we have money in this year's budget.
I got you.
If we don't spend it
I
after
got you.
July one,
You start over.
it's gone, right?
So so this in the memorandum, the $2,133,000 number, is that what's in the budget? And that's why it
No,
can't
the
exceed that
overall
number? Or
budget
is
is
that
in-
arbitrary? What is that
No,
number?
it's included in the overall budget,
But it's
it's not allocated to this line.
That
item.
line,
Right.
that's right.
So we're getting approved from the board to do something.
But that number is what is the number that's available in the existing budget.
Yes, correct.
Coming from somewhere else.
Yes, it's not new spending.
Second question. So but in the memorandum, this is for, this is additional hours for fiscal year 26 and 27. So this would be 2 million, up to $2,133,000 for this year and next year, or just for this year, this fiscal 2026 year?
It's
not-
Just for the block of hours.
Yeah, it
100 hours.
depends how fast we spend them.
Just, we're approving the ability to spend up to that amount.
Yes.
Between now and the end of the fiscal year. And then I would ask the question of,
Is there a
there's only a month
That's
and a
July,
week
right?
left.
The hours can roll over. That's why his question, they can roll over into next fiscal year.
Ah.
We want Vitech to deliver, but this is holding us up for the next
We gotta buy
bill.
the hours.
So we,
Yes, better buy the hours now.
Now, the hours now, or we'll lose.
At a discounted rate, because if
Yes.
you wait till July, the hourly rate will jump up. But you're gonna confirm $100 an hour and mitigate the increase at the $150 an hour starting July 1.
And there is a possibility the 1,500 hours may not be used and that money could be
That it rolls
reallocated.
So it rolls over.
Carry over to 27.
The hours
Right.
carry over.
So we get the cheaper rate into the next fiscal year because we've already locked in.
So you're saving.
But again, I asked
It's
the
actually
question.
logical, it's smart.
Wait, you're saving us money? How much?
$117,000 in savings.
Started with that.
What line item is it being moved from?
$17,000 out of 2 million.
That there's a surplus to transfer it.
What's it, William?
What?
The Chief could answer the question of from what line item is it moving?
Because obviously there's a surplus of 2 million there, but that's not being utilized. So what is that and where is it being moved from?
We have projects that were budgeted for fiscal year 2026 that didn't fully start from IT side. So that's the budget that is going to be transferred to fund Vitech hours for 1,500 hours. So that will be like $355,000 for fiscal year 26, and the remaining would be for fiscal year 27. So technically for fiscal year 26, we are requesting $355,000 for Vitech hours.
From IT projects that you didn't
Yeah.
start. So the money's just sitting there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you
That's
this.
correct.
I'm sorry, teacher. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, it's on the IT projects, on the consulting projects. So that's where the money is coming from.
So while I think it is a smart play to do what we're doing here, I guess I would also, one of the biggest concerns I have is that we're not doing enough to lean into the AI technology to help us be more effective and efficient and innovative.
Korean.
One second. Let me finish my thought. And at that lower rate, you said that they're going to be doing more AI at a higher rate. So does that mean if we go at that $100 rate that rolls into fiscal year 27, we will not get the benefit of the AI enhancements within the context of their work that they're going to do under the lower rate? And we don't get that benefit until we go to the higher rate. Right. That's my question.
So specifically, this is a build, it's called Security Plus. It helps us with, like I said, MSS and certain things of that nature. AI, that would be a different build, upgrading the system sometime in the future. The good thing about AI is we're looking into AI as an organization. We've heard the board numerous times bring up AI as a possibility. There are certain things down the pipeline.
Necessity, not a possibility, a necessity.
It is,
There's, not across everything, but there has to be.
Yes.
The number of interactions and transactions that are happening manually must definitely will be um, 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 made more
Automated.
efficient in some context. I don't know which ones, but the idea that we would not even consider AI would be ludicrous.
We were considering,
Nobody said.
So we-
No, just respond to him.
At the end of all, it's more of a question to you. So one of the big things that they have to shore up with AI is data protection, data privacy. So it's a question of just like what type of data is being utilized in the system here that is receiving maintenance? Are there like does this system in any way touch private identifiable information?
yes,
Rife,
all of it.
it's rife with it.
Okay, so all the member data.
So I mean, any discussion of AI with the assumption that there's security. You're not gonna do it if there's any kind of.
This discussion took place at the end of audit committee, just a second ago, and Sandy actually has a presentation with the new company on AI specifically. It's going to, so and it is in it. But it's between the PEP and BERS, it's a very controversial subject because we're looking at it within the context of students, which is a different discussion than within the context of business. Because the reality is the business community is fast foe on AI. That's it, $600 trillion worth of investments in the next 3 years.
Putting people out of work.
And it's.
Not necessarily.
We just gotta face the reality of the world.
Enhance the productivity of our. We have with
Hold on, too many conversations, yes.
But your point of AI and how we, data privacy the system, every 18 months as they upgrade, it comes to BERS. It's part of our contract. Every 18, as they upgrade the system,
VITEC,
yes, it
Okay.
automatically comes to BERS.
Yep.
It's part of our contract.
got it, okay, thank you, Doctor, you were saying?
Yeah, my issue is just the data protection. I think that transcends education to business. I mean, we just had the speaker event this Friday with Robert Smith, and that was the only thing that he raised is like his main concern about AI. This is someone who's invested multi-millions of dollars.
Yep, that's always gonna be, you're absolutely right, I think, look what happened with Canva.
Exactly.
So, yeah, so I think, I would say, any discussion of technology is with the expectation and assumption that we have the data, protections that are necessary, for sure.
But if they're saying that the company that we're going to for the service is saying, wait, let's be patient here. And if the reason why they're saying be patient is because they have to figure out things with data protection, then I think it's fair to just like, I'm not saying don't do it at all, but I'm just saying like be patient.
Agreed. No argument there. Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, what happened to Canva? Quickly. Yeah, out of business?
No, they went back up.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Is the motion in order?
Make a motion.
I move to approve.
Is that, wait 1 second, no. Shirley made the motion,
I'll second.
yeah, Greg is second.
'Cause
All in
things will
favor?
happen.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries.
Good job, Josiah.
Thank you, Josias. The next item on the agenda is calendar item 21, fiscal year 2027 budget presentation. May I have a motion to consider?
So moved.
Tony, may I have a second, Donald. Daniel Miller, Deputy Executive Director, is here to discuss this agenda item with us. Daniel?
Hello, everyone. Happy to see you all in person. See you from my surgery. So we're gonna discuss next year's fiscal budget. And we try to be really, really cognizant of the feedback we got from last year's budget odyssey at 6 months and hoping to avoid a repeat of that. To provide context of where we are for some of the newer trustees, in October of 2024, BERS auto enrollment bill passed. And what that did was every new employee of the DOE or BERS eligible employers would be automatically enrolled in BERS if they didn't opt out within 3 months. What that did was it increased BERS full membership by 50%. It increased our active membership by 82%. And that has gone on to have cascading effects on BERS operations and how we deal with our members. And the number bear that out. We have seen counseling sessions increase 70%, 2024. Loans and TA transactions have increased 54% that same year. Prior service requests have increased 61% since 2024. We still have not seen the full impact of auto enrollment yet. Because just at the 1 year mark, they were allowed to buy back loans. At the 2 year mark, this October, they'll be able to buy back prior service. So we're gonna see a lot more transactions for BERS staff. Next page, Tricia. So for this year's budget, we're proposing to spend $45.1 million. We don't take that lightly, but if you look back at last year's budget, next slide, Chitra, it's basically flat. Make that bigger, Chitra.
I was gonna say, yeah, you make the screen bigger. Nobody see those numbers.
The 2026 budget was 45.105 million. FY27 budget is 45.102 million. So we're spending a little bit less money. And that's even with adding headcount. We want to increase our headcount by 11 due to the data that we have that's showing that we are increasing transactions on our team. Yes, you can see that right there now. It's basically a flat budget with adding full-time headcount. Next slide. So how do we do this? It was not easy because as the board approved last year, we increased our rent by 1.4 million. That comes in this budget. And that includes adding the first floor to have members come here to the 55 Court Street and the whole 50th floor. So that led to additional spending about $1.5 million total. The new headcount is adding about 960,000 to our PS budget. But we've also saved money by spending more efficiently. We've reduced our temporary staff by 1.6 million. Now, temporary staff cost more because their hourly rate plus the rate of the vendor we have to pay, and they're less efficient staff because they can't access all our internal systems. So they cost more and can do less work. So we're cutting that budget to add full-time staff that can actually do the job completely. We're also saving money from our new cloud-based communications, $250,000. We reduced IT spend by $250,000. And we've reduced our medical board spend by also $250,000. And by adding headcount, we've also decreased overtime. So we're getting more efficient, we're adding headcount, and we're not spending any more money.
Quick question, Daniel.
Sure.
When you do this math, you're saying, does this spending that you're talking about cover the 11 headcount that you're asking for?
Yes, this budget does not spend any more money, it's lower. With more headcount, serve members better. So we take into, and we had to take into account a $1.5 million increase for the new rental space. So we cut spending, we're more efficient, and we get the headcount we need. And again, we're not spending more money. So I'm not sure what else the board would like to see in the budget, but we try to check all boxes here.
We wanted 40 headcount though at some point, right?
Sorry?
Last year we wanted,
So as time goes on, the plan is to come back as we can hire more. We'll see how the headcount goes, what data shows we need. And we want to bring down our temp budget completely.
okay,
I would rather not have 10 employees. They cost more money and they can do less.
that's gonna be my question.
So as we hire, but it has been helpful overall for BERS. We can hire staff temporarily, see how they work, and then transition to full-time employees. So we want to get away from that. We've done that in this budget. We saved $1.6 million. You see, it's cheaper. We added headcount for $960K, and the same temp was $1.6 million.
A couple.
So you see how inefficient temps are.
Two of them, Karen. Thirsty, please, thank you.
Any other questions?
That's it.
Yeah, we're saving money, more headcount, more efficient.
I like it.
They're remaining 47. They're remaining 47% of temporary staff. How did you decide? Like, are they people who are more like essential roles, or like how did you decide when cutting?
The shift is, so right now we onboarded temporary staff in different units within BERS. And we've talked to those directors and said, okay, you want to hire these folks full-time. So within the budget, literally moving from temp to full-time.
Okay.
We're not firing anyone. it's just
Onboarding, it's like
shifting
an
them.
onboarding.
Okay.
Using it for onboarding. Any other questions?
I have a question, but it's not quite budget related, but it's related.
Okay.
So you know, with your temp, do you have internship program?
I can't hear you.
In the past, we have had internship programs,
Oh, internship.
but there's none right now.
Okay.
Another question? And the budget is flat. Right now,
It's like the world.
we can wait till June to vote, or we can vote tonight if you guys want to vote tonight.
I move to approve the budget.
I second. Are there any other questions before we do that?
Omer-san, I'm just wondering, Daniel, you want to go send us the documents before we take a look so we can advise our mayoral trustee?
Sure.
So the mayor's office. So is the way.
Can you share that with,
The mayor's trustees to not proceed under the advice of the OMB, or is there going to? I'm answering the question.
No,
He just asked the OMB to get information to advise the mayoral trustees, so I'm just asking.
I didn't hear that.
You just said.
Yeah, he just
Let me
said-
ask for documentation.
He did just say that.
So I'm just asking if that's the.
No, I don't know what is the term, but I'm just saying that don't you want like me to take a look? And
It's
I mean
not more
that was no, I understand that, but you know we go through the normal process. I mean, you know, the budget look is pretty straightforward to me, but I'm saying that you know we want to take a look like all the backups and you know move forward. That's what we did last time.
Yeah, I just also remind last time we were in a similar place last May, that we had a quorum, and then we didn't have quorum after January. Budget was delayed 6 months. So if the board would like to proceed tonight, I'm fine with that, up to the board.
So I'm confused. Are you advising the mayoral trustees that we should not move forward?
No, I'm just saying I think you know last time OMB looked at it and then we had a discussion. This time budget is straightforward, but still we want to take a look. I mean where the replacements are, how the budget looks. That's it. It's not as critical as last time, but I think still we should look at it. But it's up to the board. I mean, you know.
So on that basis, I'm about to make the motion to move forward. Is there a concern?
You make the motion and you don't.
Huh?
That's not what you make the motion and you don't.
No, I'm just getting some advice. I hear anything.
You can amend if need be, right? Anything egregious?
I mean,
I move that we adopt the budget.
Okay.
I'll second.
I'll second, okay.
The vote on the table is a motion to vote for the budget as is presented. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? I abstain. Motion carries. Motion carries.
So.
Wrap now, we're all going now.
Does work.
I mean, if there's something egregious that they see after we can amend it. Right, that's the thing. If there's something egregious that we have quorum, it makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, next, okay, so the next agenda items are for executive session. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Donald and then Mahisha. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The motion carries. On the board's action during executive session.
During executive session, the board approved calendar item 22, public equity index notice of search. During executive session, the board approved calendar item 23, authorization to the controller of the city of New York to add 7 recommended managers to a pool for transition management services for public market transactions for future use.
Thank you, Samantha. This concludes the agenda for this meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 4th, 2026 at 4 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
That's 5 people. May I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? The motion carries. Thank you. We are adjourned. Good evening, everybody.